Welcome back to another episode of the Downsizing Roadmap podcast with your hosts, Jody Roscoe and Heather Fisher. We're talking about all things downsizing, from our own experiences with clients to guest experts. Let's make downsizing easier, one conversation at a time.
Hi, welcome to the Downsizing Roadmap podcast. Today we're talking about the longevity home. So this can be, the home you're in now, making sure that it's going to stand the test of time and serve you well. Or it could be that middle stage. I know I'm at this stage of, empty nest. If you said the word downsizing to me, I'm like, oh, I'm not ready yet. But making those plans of how do I get ready, or how do I make sure that the place where I am is that place that will support me 20 years from now. Right.
So I think some of the stuff that we do every day, we don't think about what that's going to look like 20 years from now, if there's steps or if there's, the laundry's on a different floor or, just things that you don't necessarily think about. And so we're talking about basically how to kind of think about that in a long term today.
Yeah. And if you're making, more of that empty nest move, or you're still very active, still working, but you are wanting to make more of a lifestyle move is how I might classify it, how to make smart decisions so that same decision can support you longer than you're planning for now. Just how to look a little future-proof down the road.
Right. I'm Jody Roscoe.
I'm Heather Fisher.
So I think that, we think, okay, this house is going to be great. And you don't realize maybe that there's 4 or 5 steps up from the garage into the house. And you're all on one floor maybe, but there's certain things that might not actually work later, and stuff that you actually pay no attention to until it's something that you can't do.
Yeah. I think we'll definitely touch on this, but it's really a difference between, I know in my family I've met many people like this that just say, I just want to stay here forever.
Right.
And it's the difference between saying, I'm just staying put no matter what, versus I want to be somewhere where I can stay put no matter what.
Yeah, because I think we've both had that experience where, at least I have, where my grandma and my mom were in a place that did not work, and both were like, we're staying put no matter what, not we're staying put because this is the right place. And so they were in a house with all the bedrooms upstairs, with the full bathrooms upstairs, in a place where both of them got to a place where they could not get to those anymore. And still, well, we're going to just stay here whether it's working or not. But that's stressful for them, and it's stressful for the family because you worry and it's not working. And so I think people, sometimes we see them wait too long. They stay and they're like, it's going to be fine until it's not fine. But then they've gotten to a place where it's almost too late to move, or they feel like they don't have as many choices, or it's just not feasible to make the move. And now they're just trying to make do instead of live there.
Yeah, this conversation is much more about downsizing into that next place with planning that your future self is going to thank you for, instead of that crisis.
And just being stuck and then feeling overwhelmed that you're stuck. Like, we don't want that to be happening for anybody. And, 5 years down the road, you think you're good. And then you think, oh, we need grab bars. We need wider doorways. We need a ramp. We need things that we don't have or that are harder to add to the house. The CDC reports that by 2030, 1 in 5 Americans will be 65 or over. And by 2040, over 80% of the older adults say that they want to stay in their homes, but the homes don't match their needs over time. And so I don't even think, I think we talked about this in another episode, that we don't have enough homes that would match their needs. Like, we have many more 2-story homes than we have ranch
style homes.
And so,
even that ranch being fully without stairs is rare.
No, we see, and even stuff like we see that seems so minimal, but like in the 70s, they made a lot of ranch homes that had like a step down to the living room or just
Yeah.
a step up to the kitchen or whatever, which seems like, oh, whatever. But if you physically can't do
Yeah.
steps, that's
A big deal.
one step can be a big deal, even though that doesn't seem like anything right now.
Yeah, I've mentioned this on another episode, but we moved into a ranch and thought about the doorways being wider for, the master bath and the bathroom and bedroom are on that main level. And then I'm like looking after we're moving in, I'm like, oh yeah, but there's 2 or 3 steps from the garage into the house.
Yeah.
So, not as thorough of a full plan as it could have been.
Yeah, our house is like that. So our house has the primary bedroom on the main floor and the laundry. And once you're inside, you can absolutely just live on that main floor and you're great. But we have probably 5 or 6 steps in the garage to get up to it. And we have like 3 steps, like 2 steps and then a porch, and then another step into the house to get up into the front. And then and then it's a walkout. So we have many steps to get, up upstairs. And so I didn't realize that until my mom was in a wheelchair and I had to get her in my house.
Yeah.
And I just thought, oh, this is a great, it's first floor living. It's great. And then I was like, oh, like, and it doesn't seem like, I mean, the steps from the garage, I know they're steps, but like even the couple steps outside when you're trying to bring somebody in was a challenge.
Difficult. Yeah, for sure. We're seeing that. And I think this conversation, we're of that age, both of us, where we're that sandwich generation, we're creeping up to thinking about these things for ourselves, but we're just in that, that span of years where we've both been taking care of our parents and, having them over to our homes and all of that. And so if you listen to this episode and kind of put those plans in place, it can really open up your ability to have, if your parents are still with you or your older generations in your family, it gives that flexibility to enjoy that space with them much easier. Like you were saying, having them over with ease of coming in while it does the double work of serving you in the future and giving you that peace of mind.
Yes. So we're going to break this down into 4 key dimensions: physical function, financial stability, social connectivity, and then emotional fit and lifestyle alignment. So let's start with just physical function, which I think is what we've been talking about the most right now, which is single-story living, main floor bedroom, full bath, laundry, because some places might have all of that, but they might have laundry in the basement, depending on where you live. Wide hallways and doorways for future mobility or the ability to do that. I mean, you might have a house that doesn't already have doorways wide enough for your, a wheelchair or a walker or something if it needed to. But is there room to even make that happen if you stay there? And same for the bathroom. Like, is it big enough to get a wheelchair in there or a walker in there? Or once you get in there, is that too little,
Yeah, or the door swing. I know that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Something that aesthetically you're not going to notice the difference, but if you have that door swing out, then someone can't get stuck in, the little commode area. If there's a fall or a wheelchair in there, things like that, it can be harder.
Yeah. And, is it possible do you have enough room in there to maneuver? Because you can always change a tub out for a walk-in shower or, those kind of things can happen, or you can add grab bars and all of that stuff. But physically, is it big enough? Is it a big enough space? Obviously, minimal stairs or the ability to add a stair lift.
Yeah, I would say, is it convenient to bring in your groceries is a big one that can become harder if you're navigating with a walker or a wheelchair. And one that I was thinking about is accessible storage. Are there convenient storage places that aren't an attic with pull-down steps or just a basement to the amounts that you need storage for that lifestyle?
Right. And as far as the chair lift, we see this a lot. We see that people have put in chair lifts, but you also have to be able to get in the house. So the chair lifts are great to get you up to the second floor and all of that. But if it's 3 steps into the house, is that going to work in the future. And I know 3 steps right now may seem like nothing, but if you've watched somebody who's struggling try to get up 3 steps, that's hard.
Yeah, it absolutely is
Like-
the difference maker
Yeah.
as to, some of the other factors, social and, those logistics of leaving the house to go do something. If you're adding that huge burden, people will isolate and stay home.
Correct.
Yeah. So on the physical functions, even if you don't need these now, it's a matter of looking around your current house if you're, just insistent that you want to stay there forever, or if you're deciding on options for that, early downsizing move and that lifestyle change, finding a house that has most of those options currently and gives you the flexibility, like you said, to easily change a doorway or to easily make adaptations, not, a 4-story townhouse with
Right.
all those flights of stairs or things
even
like
tight
that.
hallways and tight door frames inside those hallways. Like that doesn't give you an opportunity to change it if you need to. So
Yeah.
keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Financial sustainability.
Yeah. Is the mortgage or rent that you currently have sustainable into your retirement years? The property taxes, are those manageable? Even if your mortgage is paid off, the property taxes, I know in our area, they just increased and, that's just going to routinely do that over time. Is that something that you can maintain?
I think we see that actually a lot, and especially in areas that become popular, for vacationing or things like that, where the taxes just go way up, and people who've lived there a long time struggle to even keep the house, whether it's paid off or not, because the taxes are a problem. So,
Yeah.
I don't know that we can fully future think that, but what does that look like, and what have they historically escalated by, and kind of do some math around that.
Yeah. HOA dues, if you're in a community that has HOA or condo dues, looking at the amenities that they provide. Are those ones that you are utilizing and are adding to your lifestyle? And reducing your financial burden in other places if utilities are included, or replacement or repair of exterior things like that? Or are you spending money monthly and it's more focused on amenities that you don't use, a pool or tennis courts, or a clubhouse or weight room? Just kind of evaluating, am I getting the amenities for that spend that will serve me now and into the future, or is there somewhere else that I could transfer that spend to things that make my life easier?
Yeah. And then just what's the house like? Is it, energy efficient? Does the roof need to be replaced? Does the HVAC need to be replaced? I mean, what we see often is the house gets out of hand. Like it's either too big or too much to take care of, landscaping, those kind of things. And instead of hiring somebody, the house just ends up going into disrepair a little bit. And we see deferred maintenance happen, which eventually, if that turns into, water damage or anything that, goes long enough, that can really cause a problem with the house. So make sure that it's something that you can keep up, and that you can financially keep up, but you also mentally can keep up with. It doesn't feel huge or overwhelming.
Yeah, when looking at whether that maintenance budget is comfortable and sustainable, that should include those mechanicals that we know are on a life cycle. And if you are wanting to stay till you're not here anymore, you want to stay in that house, are you factoring in those average life cycles of the mechanicals and budgeting so that when we know it's going to come up as a replacement time, you have that cushion saved up, or what that plan is to pay for it?
Social connectivity. I think this is one that is underrated. I think being by yourself and the loneliness of being by yourself is not good for your health.
Yeah.
And some people are more loner kind of people, but you still need people around. And so, what does your social life look like? Can you get out? Can you meet people? Are there people around you so you don't have to actually physically drive away somewhere? You can be around people. What's your proximity to your friends, to your family? Community? Can you volunteer? What are you doing? Hobbies, anything. Like, what can that look like so that you aren't just alone in your house all day long?
Yeah, and what would that plan look like if you couldn't, if something happened that you couldn't drive?
Right.
Are you close enough that there is, it doesn't need to be down to the detail. We're looking at this way far ahead, but these are the type of questions to ask yourself. What if I couldn't drive for a period of time? What does that look like? What's my support system close by look like? Is that working for me, or do I need to think about an environment that would encompass more, both socially and just support people looking out for you?
Yeah. Is there walkability to stuff? Coffee, the library, the park, churches, whatever it can, or is that not something that you need? I mean, you don't to walk to, those things. I don't know. But think about how far they are away. And are you isolating yourself, or are you staying part of something by living in this place?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a stat here that says older adults with strong social connections have a 50% increased chance of longevity. So you're increasing your lifespan by putting those plans in place early and keeping yourself active and involved and engaged.
Yeah. And that's a quality of life thing too. So not only are they living longer, but they are having a better quality of life around it. So
Yeah.
emotional fit and lifestyle alignment. So does the house feel like it belongs in your next chapter, or was this your last chapter house, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so making sure that as you make these decisions early on, you're, making conscious choices about, is something going to be too small for what I want to continue doing, hosting, family gatherings, hobbies, all of that, but also is it too large that there's just a lot of wasted space that is both not space for those type of activities, so it's not being utilized, but also not needed, 5 bedrooms or, a basement that nobody goes down into. Just making sure you're right sizing the space you have for what you want these years to look like.
Yeah, we've definitely had clients who downsized too much,
Yeah.
and they'll call us a year or so later and they'll say, yeah, we need to go a little bigger. We're on top of each other, or our kids, want to come and bring the grandkids, and there's just not enough space for them. And sometimes we don't know, but sometimes when we do that step one of our plan of that dreamy future thinking, we can think like, I still want to host Christmas, or I still want to host, a holiday, Thanksgiving, whatever it is. And so the question is this house going to make you feel independent longer, or slowly restrict your life? And it could restrict it by being too small, and it can restrict it by being too big. So just a thought process around that. How little is too little? What do you want your life to look like? Is your family coming over? Are your grandkids going to spend the night? What does that look like? Because it may not need to be the same big 2-story stairs house that you have now, but you may want to have a place for, some of those things.
Yeah, I've definitely experienced that personally in my last couple moves. I was in the house I raised my kids in, that worked for younger kids. We had the tri-level with a basement, like, go play downstairs and all of that. And then we moved temporarily into, my husband's house at the time, which was too small for our stage of life. We did not have an extra bedroom, beyond our needs. So there was no room for guests, and our living room space, seating in the kitchen and in the living room, it was fine for, the 3 of us that were in the house, but there was not room when we had the other kids and grandkids over. It was cramped and, just tight. And because that would have been too small of a downsizing move for our stage of life, But now that we're in the house we're in, it's smaller than the first house. It's bigger than the other one. But the room we gained was intentionally in that great room area, so we can have that balance.
Yep, I saw the picture of the holiday with the whole family table.
Yeah, and so that it's just really making those plans of what can, the word downsizing doesn't mean getting rid of all of these phases in your life. It's just really evaluating the space you have and the things that you manage to fit the stages that you're in now and look forward to the future before it's a crisis.
So if you're in a house now that feels like it's too big, really take note of what rooms you're in and what rooms you're not in, because you may think, oh, I need all of this, but you realize you don't ever go in that room.
Yeah.
You don't use it at all, like perhaps a formal dining room. And yes, you might have holidays in there, but in your house, you don't have a formal dining room, right?
Yeah.
But you have a big enough area that the table can be extended, and you can do that in that kitchen family room area. So you can still get all the people at a big holiday table, and have it feel like a spacious, place that you are in. It doesn't feel crowded because your ceilings are a little taller, whatever.
Yeah.
But you may not need the formal dining room, but you may just need a space that could accommodate it, right? So pay attention to the rooms that you are using.
Yeah. A house that's too big might contain rooms that are too small. The ones you use, even, the square footage doesn't always calculate to the right use of the square footage.
Right. So write down the usage of what you think you want to do, and then you can, fit the house to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Important tip there.
Okay. So real life pitfalls, right? I think that's just the planning for now only and not really thinking forward. So, if you think I'm going to stay here, and when we get those questions, what we get is, I think I'm going to redo the kitchen because I'm going to stay here, or I'm going to redo the master bath, or whatever that looks like, because they're ready to maybe update and remodel a little bit, but they don't want to do that if they're going to move because they want to put the money into the next house. But what should we be doing? And so if you're thinking on those kind of around those lines, that's a good time to start thinking future, like what is it that I could want or need in this next house. And if it's staying, make sure they're putting blocking behind the bathroom showers, so that you could put grab bars in there if you're redoing the bathroom, or make sure you're just doing some things that can help you do that. But like don't maybe you're not thinking you need a full bath on the main floor, and could you get that? Could your formal dining room turn into a bedroom without it being weird and feeling like it's your like what does your floor plan look like? And
yeah, some of that thought process can just be as simple as, sitting at your house and thinking, if I had knee surgery tomorrow and couldn't go up the stairs for 2 months, whatever, fill in the blank, how would I live in this home? Temporary, you're just imagining that experience and thinking, what are the hurdles in here, and is there anything I could do to make those easier, or is it just this wouldn't work at all?
Yeah, and
I need to start planning for something different.
Yeah, and are you thinking you might need to take care of your parents, or want to take care of your parents, or your kids might come back? Like, what does that look like? My house is a large house, but there is nothing else on the front, main floor except for our bedroom and bathroom. So if I needed to have somebody who couldn't go up the stairs come live with me, that doesn't work, even though the house is big.
Yeah.
There's nowhere to do that. So yeah, just some thoughts about what you might want to do for your family, what you might, what things might happen, not just for you, but for your family, and what you want to have happen in that house. So, and if you have a condo, great. It has an elevator, fantastic. Elevator breaks. Now we can't get to the house.
I can't get home.
Right?
Yeah.
Maybe just for a few days, but just things to think about. So,
Yeah. I think that's back to the HOA. Are the amenities what you need now, or has that changed?
And are the rules in a way that you couldn't add on, or you couldn't do something?
Make modifications that you'd need to make.
Right.
Perhaps.
Sometimes historic houses are in that way or whatever. So just think about what that looks like.
Yeah, whether or not they'd allow a wheelchair ramp if that was needed, things like that.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you're touring homes, if you're thinking about moving, can a wheelchair, easily move there? Would you need to just put in wood floors or vinyl floors or whatever, and then it would be okay? Or no, it's too tight. Like, it's one thing if it's something that's changeable. You have carpet and that's not great for rolling, but you could change the flooring and you'd be great. Again, hallways are too narrow, doorways are too narrow. Those aren't things you can easily change.
Yeah, it's just
Kitchen.
making that pros and cons list. Moving is hard. I mean, it's overwhelming just going through it myself. And so you don't want to just make choices for today and then 5 years later you are like, oh, well, now things have changed, because as we age, our health changes, our situation changes, retirement might change our budget and our, income. So just thinking a little bit further before you make that big decision can make that next house serve you for the long run.
I mean, if you had a future caregiver, where would they stay if you needed them to? And some of this stuff may not happen, but if you really want to pick a house that you can really stay in till the end, if that's what you are really thinking that you want, then those are the things you need to think about.
Well, it brings you that peace of mind so that you're not thinking about it all the time once you've made the decisions and you're ready for any opportunity and or crisis that comes up.
Right. Would I still love this home at 85 years old? Could this home evolve with me through a health event or, being widowed or something? Those aren't things we want to think about, but would you still want to stay there if you were staying there all by yourself? Like, that's something, things that you should think about. Does the neighborhood support your next chapter, or is it just, the one the kids grew up in and that was your old chapter and, you're just kind
Hanging
of still
on.
there?
Yeah. So the three, phases to kind of think about when you're looking at your next house is evaluating it against the you that you are today, the you that you're going to be 10 years from now, and the you if a temporary crisis or major change comes up.
Right. So, I think where people get lost on it is, I'm still active. I don't need to worry about that stuff right now. I'm good.
Yeah.
And we have clients like that who are, in their maybe 70s, and they're looking at, 2-story houses, and we'll say something along the, hey, how do you feel about the stairs? And they're like, well, I can still do stairs. And they can still do stairs. And that isn't actually a problem right now. But like, how much future thinking is going into that? And I'm not saying everybody's never going to be able to do stairs, but, stairs can be a problem.
Yeah, it can just bring you that peace of mind that you've made that next choice, and then you're good there.
Yeah.
You're as good as you can get.
Yeah.
There.
And people will say, well, I'll just remodel later if I need to. And that's fine, as long as you understand that it takes, energy and time and planning and money and a floor plan that can handle that. So, you could have all the energy and time and money, but if the floor plan can, and you're really rebuilding the house, that's probably not the best, use of it.
Right. People will say a smaller home is always cheaper. Not always. New builds or condos or different areas may cost more per square foot, but that's back to that math, and we've done that on other episodes. The exchange of peace of mind and being able to stay there without a second move, and services that you're able to continue doing for yourself because of the way the house is designed can save you that difference in money, maintenance and repair costs if something's newer. So there's a lot to go into that.
Yeah. So just maybe reverse engineer your downsizing, right? Think about yourself at 90 or 85 or 80 and work backwards from there. Like, if I, needed a walker, or if I needed somebody to stay here with me sometimes, or, whatever that is, if I couldn't do my own laundry, or whatever that looks like, what's happening?
Yeah.
And then again, all of this stuff is just kind of insurance thinking. Just like we say, go find a rehab place just in case, so that you don't get that list at the hospital and be like, you need to pick one in an hour and you don't know what to pick. This is the same stuff as that. We hope that doesn't happen. We hope you aren't having that experience, but you won't have that experience if you put some thought into it now.
Yeah. Yeah. One more misconception that I think is important to mention is we often hear, my kids will help me. And we as kids, we absolutely want to, but I think it goes back to still needing a plan, still needing to have these conversations and thought process so the kids both know what you are planning and can help you make that happen, and or just consideration of they might not be in the area. They might not have the financial resources to help. They might not have, time with their current schedule, things like that. So don't kick that can down the road and not have those plans. And then the kids can help you
Well, and the
implement
kids
that.
can't help when they don't know.
Yeah.
Like, they want to help, but if you aren't sure what's going on and you aren't sure what your future you want to look like, we've had a lot of conversations with people who are at the beginning of their path, which is absolutely when we want to have the conversations so that we can, talk about what the obstacles are and what's stopping you. So we definitely want to talk to you in the beginning of it. But what we find is if they aren't clear or if you aren't clear on what's happening, the kids don't know how to help you. They want to help you, but they are like, what do you need, Mom? Like, what do you need, Dad? And they're more like, a lot of times the kids are more in that doing mode.
Yeah.
And so you need to do the thinking mode first and then just share with them what you're envisioning, what you want that to look like. And then I think a lot of kids will help you find it. And some people don't have those people to help you. And we have professionals that can help you, if you don't have your kids to help you or whatever. But a lot of times the kids, if you tell them, they'll work hard to help you find what you need. But if you are just like, I don't know, they're like, well, I don't know either. Like,
Yeah, and putting that thought into it and just having some future planning puts everybody at ease.
Yeah.
As adult kids, we're worrying about our parents.
Yeah, and we want to know that we're on the same page.
Yeah.
We want to be doing what they want.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so, this hopefully gave you some, thought process around starting to think about that longevity plan and where you're at currently and whether something else should be on the horizon. There, are so many options that can fill the definition of a longevity home. It doesn't have to be the goal of, I just need to find a ranch. The goal is to find a home that gives you the most choices.
Right.
And so whether that's your current home with some modifications, whether that is getting your current home ready for the future choices, whatever that looks like, that's what we're talking about today, is just that early planning.
Yep. So if you're thinking about moving, just put all of this kind of thought process in before you actually pick a house. If you're thinking about staying, do the same thing. Figure out if that's what it looks like, especially if you're going to make major changes in the house, major updates. Before you do that, make sure this is a house that you think you can stay in for quite some time. So
yeah,
good to talk to you this week.
Yeah, if there's any resources we can help you with, our website, downsizingroadmap.com, and we will be back next week. Thanks for joining us on the Downsizing Roadmap podcast. If you found this episode helpful, be sure to subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with someone who might need a little downsizing inspiration. Have questions or ideas for future episodes? Reach out to us on our website, www.downsizingroadmap.com. Until next time, let's keep simplifying and moving forward.